Good morning, Facebook. Here today we're looking at Psalms chapter 51, looking at verses 7 through 9. You see, David, he already sees that need to change. He already sees how desperately he needs to change, not only in the eyes of God, but also in his own eyes. He's tired of going the route that he chose. He's tired of hurting. He's tired of this never-ending cycle. And you see, right now, he desires something different. And you see here in verses 7 through 9, you see in verse 7, you see how David realizes what the problem is. You see, he goes much more in depth of not only does he want change, but now he's putting that into practice because he sees now what caused him to drift away. You see, now he knows what the problem is. He realizes that the problem is not the situation. The problem is not what he was doing. The problem is him. The problem is his heart. The problem is the fact that he allowed himself to look in his own strength to solve the issues that he has. And instead of looking to God at each and every opportune time when that problem arose, you see what David did at each time. He would look to himself thinking in his own strength, how can I handle this? How can I make a way? How can I make a way out of this wilderness experience? How can I make the impossible a possibility in my reality? You see, David did everything in human strength that you could think of, but the one thing that he did not do was to turn to God. You see, David waited until absolutely every resource he had was gone, until the pain was at its greatest. And then you see, through that pain, through the trial, through the heartache, how David comes to that remembrance of everything that God has done. How he was there in that cave when Saul tried to kill him. How he was always there when he prevailed, when all the enemy forces were so much greater than him. He remembered the mighty acts of God, how the hand of God was always present in his life. And David realized the problem was nothing in the situation, but had everything to do with his heart, because his heart turned against God and turned against self. David had allowed himself to become self-centered, seeking comfort and pleasure over seeking the things of God. And you see what he's saying here in verse 8. He's saying, restore me. I remember who I was. I remember that man who wanted to seek nothing more but just to be in the presence of God. Who, when that man was in the very gates, the very mouth of hell, he was at such peace because God was the priority of his life. He had the peace of God in his heart. And you see, that's what gave his peace. And you see, David is saying, restore me to that, O Lord. Lord, I don't want to be this man anymore. Hear my prayer, but don't just hear it. Purge my heart. Know the condition of my heart, and what I'm saying is true, every word of it. But as Christians, if we start our day, examine our hearts. What is it each and every day that hinders us from God? What are we compromising in the faith? What are we allowing to come between us and God? And what are we willing to do today to